Hey, hey, hey. Welcome to Higher Ground Production and Media's third broadcast. So, what I want to do for you today is give you a little tad bit more of information. Who doesn't like information? We've had a great time working on branding. We established what is our color, what is our brand, what is it about ourself and our business that makes it so important. So let's say you're tuning in and you're not sure if you want to create a business, if the business thing is for you. Well, let me tell you, the information that'll go forth is going to also apply to your professional workforce. So even if you're not here because you want to establish a business, but as you've seen in the title, this is also for your professional development. But I'm here to tell you that if you take notes, you'll learn something. My videos are not long. My motto is to go straight to it so that you can get through it. So my videos are not long, but I guarantee you, if you don't want to leave, you might miss one point. And if you're one of those that start off a business and like I did back in 2009 and then it failed, and you're like, I don't think I want to do that again. Let me hear, I'm going to tell you, this is my second go around, and I am taking every mistake and applying it to what I have learned. And it's a whole new journey. And I want you to take that journey with me. It doesn't limit you just because you choose a different business model than somebody else. So you might ask, what is a business model? A business model is basically the form. Think about a piece of modeling chocolate, and you're modeling it into something, a piece of clay, and you're modeling it into that vase. But before it becomes that vase, it's wet, muddy texture before it refines in the fire. Okay, so this is that point. You have the clay in your hands. What is that clay going to be? I'm taking you all the way back to home ec or art shop, whatever it was. If you're old enough, I'm aging myself to have had that. So what type of plan are you going to have? So what is your piece going to be? Now, it might be 5 of us in the room, and we might all come up with 5 different ways to do our clay. But at the end, it's going to be a refined piece, right? It's going to be a refined piece. So what is going to be your motto? You will have those people out there that are just going to shop around for years. But let me tell you, if they're serious about it, they're going to use your service. So you got to know your business model. So you have your brand. You might have even already developed your slogan or whatever it may be. Sometimes the slogan and all that doesn't come until you actually start really getting in there deep and working. That's not even, I'm not going to say it's not important, but that's not the next step. That's one of the last steps, because you got to get out there and see if what your service that you're trying to provide or your product that you're trying to provide is even needed. It sounds rough, but you have to see if it's even needed, because it might have been needed last year, but it may not be needed this year. It might have been needed 6 months ago, but it may not be needed now. As you know, we're all right now in a pandemic. So it's not probably going to be a good idea to go open up a whole restaurant right now, right? So it might not be a good idea to go open up a salon right now, right? So, you have to make sure that is what because it might switch your whole focus. It might switch your whole focus. You might go out, let's say you want to open a restaurant and then find out that's not the way that it is supposed to be done. Maybe you need to be a food delivery service where you're making the food at your home and you're delivering it. That just changed your whole focus. But one thing that won't really change as much, and I say as much unless it changes what you're offering, is your actual model, how you want to form. So you're going to have your end goal, okay? And I'm going to use a pretty color here. You have your end goal. Okay, you have your end goal here. You have your end goal. Okay, notice it's on this side of the paper. what we're trying to do is build up to that end goal. We're trying to build up to that end goal. And there's points in between there. Okay? There's points in between there. So what do we need to know? We needed to know who we are. Who are we? And I mean, yeah, it has a business, of course. We're talking about that. And excuse me for having that stuff on there too. Just one moment. Let me get this where it's not, you're not able to see all those words back there. But end goal, build up, who we are. Who we are. Who are we? Okay, what is the, so this might sound crazy. Yeah, you're talking about your business. I can wake up one day and say, I want to start a business, which I did do that. But I needed to know who I was. I also needed to know who I was professionally. And in 2009, I wasn't there yet. Okay. So versus 2020 right now, it's a totally different experience. So know who you are. What is your business entity? Because you're going to have challenges where people are going to come against your business entity. And if you don't know who you are, you're not going to be able to stand up against the competition. I'm loving it. This is not for McDonald's, but you know that was McDonald's. They know who they are. Nobody's going to be able to tell them who they aren't. Okay? They know who they are. No matter if you got people, I'm one of the people, I don't really care for McDonald's. Now, when I was pregnant with my son, I loved their French fries. I craved them. I could smell them. And my favorite place was Wendy's before pregnancy, but then I ended up hating Wendy's during pregnancy. But either way, me being one person, not liking them, it didn't matter. They're going to know who they are, and they're going to stand on their brand, and they're going to stand. That arch is their brand. Look at the story behind it. Look at the story behind it, Wendy's. So do your research. Research these big companies. Don't go researching a mom and pop that's up the street. You can research them, but if you're trying to figure out your business model, research the people that are big. JCPenney, research them. There's a lot I'm not going to go through all of it. I could tell you something about Sam Walton and Walmart, and I could tell you something about JCPenney. I could tell you something about those things, but I'm not going to do that because you have to take that time to research it and find out where that stuff where they came from. What's their background? Did they know who they were? Did they struggle at first on figuring out who they were? Strong possibility. So who we are. So that's when we get into our branding, our focus, choice. We talked about that. You have to watch a previous video where we talked about that. We talked about focusing in, zoning in, and not trying to have all different types of things being done in one business, because then something's going to lack. So we talked about our branding, our focusing, our choice. And then we mentioned what makes us stand out. Okay? So we did all that. Okay? So the other thing would be know your competition. And I know I've said this in other videos, but I'm going to keep going back to it. Or we'll say better yet, who is your competition? Know your competition. Who is your competition? Okay? It is very important, because if you're not studying your competition, you don't know what you have to compete with. If you need to drop one thing down 1 penny because the next door store has it a penny higher, if yours needs to be $5.98 versus $5.99. Okay. And then this last thing that we're talking about today, which is not the last thing on the whole totem. This goes on that build up to get to the end goal. It's going to be a lot in between there. But right now we're talking about 3 points, and these points get smaller on that line of reaching our end goal. Okay. So, and our end goal, let me clarify, that is the creation of the actual business entity. Okay, this is not you all the way out there and all that. This is that creation, that first day that you turn the keys and open the door, or the first day that you received the first message from your website, whatever that may be. The first day you received, you did your first free consultation. Whatever it is, it's the creation of the business entity is the end goal we're trying to reach. And so, like we said today, you need to find out what you are worth. What you are worth. What you are worth. Sorry. Excuse me. What you are worth. Okay? So, we did who are you? Who is your competition, and what are you worth? If you don't know what your value is, nobody else is going to give value. And that people are very fine with taking things on at a they're very fine with taking, if you price it too low, they're going to take it. How many times when we went to the clearance rack and got something off the clearance rack? But then when you get it off the clearance rack, you're looking to see, well, is it a hole in it? Why is it on clearance? That color's on clearance, but this color isn't. So pay attention to make sure you have every fine detail worked out. Because if you don't know your worth, who else will? I'm going to share you a story. And I think she minds me telling, but somebody I know went through a transition with their prices, and they had to up their prices. And along the way, they lost some clientele, some customers. It's okay, because they didn't know. If you lose some along the way, guys, they don't know your worth. Okay, they don't know your worth. It's okay. So I'm here to say, identify these 3 points for your build-up to reach that end goal, which our end goal is the creation of the business entity. And our first step is to know who we are. Who are we? You got to know who you are individually before you know. I guarantee that most of the people that you will find in Fortune 500 companies, let's go even up Fortune 200, Fortune 150. And all that means is the top companies in the world based off of their dollar amounts, revenue, okay? Profit. The persons that created that, they went through something. And they probably had a lot of failures at the beginning. Michael Jordan did too. They probably failed a lot. But honestly, if you don't fail, you're not going to appreciate that moment you turn that key, or you make that website active and you get that first inquiry. So know who you are, which means focus on one choice or 2 choices, no more than 3. So if you have the type of thing where you do events, let's say, because that was my first business, you do events. Don't try to do weddings, business events, and birthday parties, and this and that. Try to zone in. Nobody's going to take you seriously. So just do weddings, or just do birthday parties, or do weddings and anniversaries, okay? What makes you stand out? It's like having my brown carpet in here. If there's a white piece of paper on it, it's going to stand out. If it's brown Or if it's the same color on my carpet, I'm not going to see it. It's the same concept. What's going to make you stand out, which is very important with your branding. Then know your competition. Who is your competition? So who are we? Who is your competition? Know your competition, and don't just stop at the mom and pop, the little small business. Go all the way up to the Fortune 500, Fortune 250, Fortune 150 companies. They're your competition. If you got a retail store, then the retail store next door is your competition. The retail store on the west side is your competition because they're already there. They already have clientele. And what you are worth. If you research, you have to research what those type of services or what that type of product is going for, and find out what you're worth. Are you worth that amount? Or nobody's going to take you seriously unless you do. So I'm going to share this with you. I love to cook. I didn't used to like to bake. My dad actually is an executive chef. He's a bishop too, but he's an executive chef. Has been a chef and a cook for all my life. And I got this place and I'm like, well, I'm trying to find, because I do low carb count. I won't say I do keto because I try not to do as much fat. It doesn't work for everybody to do it the same way. And I'm going to close on this. But I do a reduced amount of carbs. Diabetes runs in my family, and so I'm not trying to encounter it. I've been good. So I got to learning that, so I got to seeing all these people with YouTube videos, and I could go out to the store. I have to pay all kinds of money to get what I wanted, and then I want something sweet, but I can't have it because it's got too much flour in it. So what did I do? Well, I figured out, and I remember the difference of learning in college, the difference between science and an art. Because I have a political science portion of my degree is political science. So I'm used to the sciences. My bachelor's degree is a bachelor's of science. If you learn the science of things, your uniqueness is what's going to bring the art. Your uniqueness is what's going to bring the art. Learn the science of things. Okay? Learn the science. So when I learned the science of how to, for example, I've been making caramel. I've been learning how to make caramel, like caramel candy. So I can give it to some of my my clients with HGPM and some of my giveaways. And I wanted to do it a low carb way. So I figured that part out. But the science was that in order to make any type of candy, anything like that, the water has to be extremely hot, like 350 degrees hot, boiling hot. Like if you touch your skin with it, it'll stick hot. That's the science of it. And to keep stirring. The rest of it was my art. I can add whatever flavor I want and get that candy. Okay? And then, of course, there's other things to it. But learn the science behind starting and operating a business. I don't care if go to some of the big businesses and figure it out. Research it. You can find the information. It's the internet. And you can find out if it's accurate. The libraries offer their information on the internet now. Find out how they started their businesses. Sometimes you can go into business. Those are like Hobby Lobby. I've actually been standing in the line before and saw the guy's picture that created on the back of a book. And I read the back of that book and I found out so much information about what led him to create Hobby Lobby that I went to go research it some more. Learn the science behind it. Business ownership is a science. Learn the science and then add your unique touch. And there's the artistic value. So I hope this blessed you today. If you have any questions, comments, please don't be mean. Don't be rude. I'm not a mean, rude person. I'd rather you just not say anything than to say anything negative. But if you have any questions or concerns, hit the comments or private message. Do whatever you have to there. Find me on Facebook. But make sure that you like and subscribe, please, to grow this channel to reach other people. I want this to reach other people so I can help them. You don't hear too much of this. You hear every once in a while, but most of the time people don't want to give this information for free. And I learned it from educators and I learned it from experience. So please share this information. Share, 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 like. Hey, 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 family, friends, and loved ones. Thank you for joining us on Higher Ground Production and Media's video today, just to give you a little bit more information on how you can start your business. Hey, don't forget to like and subscribe. We appreciate you so much for being a part of this, and share this information with someone. Don't forget to ask questions, leave comments. Be nice. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, and remember, expand yourself.